said they're making progress on, and they hope they have them done by the end of the week. I don't want to ask any more about that. For those of you that were there this morning, thank you for coming back. If I can pay you a compliment, it's the fact that I felt so comfortable because you guys got it. You guys understand not only tradition, you understand the community that surrounds tradition. You understand the importance of both and the gestalt effect of these two things together. And there's not a whole lot of people that get that, let alone something like traditional music or basket weaving. So the good news is that I'm going to show you by the time we're done with this presentation is the future of traditional arts. Let's just say today it's in really good hands. And it's been established how good it is for humanity, but whether or not people pick up on it, there's no way you can judge what gets people's attention and whether or not they feel it's necessary. You have found it and been able to recognize it for what it is. And I can't tell you what that does for me, because I spent 13 years on the road filming these people, and I spent a whole year writing a book because it was one of the most exciting things, if not the most exciting thing I discovered in my life. And to be able to talk to people about it, to get it, wow, that just doesn't happen. Okay, I was an advertising guy from St. Paul. I did well in my career. I had fun. I accomplished the things I was supposed to accomplish, but as I told you this morning, I hit the wall. And things weren't going the way I thought they should be going at the age of about 55. And I wanted something better. And I didn't know what that was going to be. So I decided I needed an experience. And we talked about that this morning too. The experience, not just reading something or getting a new banjo or a new fill. And in fact, I have to introduce somebody at this point, because as I was talking about Joseph Campbell before, Joseph is a personal hero of mine. Who hasn't heard of Joseph Campbell or read some of his stuff? Go ahead, you can raise your hand, it's fine. Okay, you're probably going to go out of here and want to read more about this guy. Joseph Campbell was a lecturer at Sarah Lawrence College for many years. But more than his lecturing, he was a writer. And the thing about him is that he was fascinated with mythology. And he was so fascinated, he bounced back and forth between Dartmouth and Columbia, and neither one would give him the PhD because they said, you can't do all the mythology, it's too much. You have to do one thing and do it very well, and then move on to the next thing. And so he said, to heck with that, and he went off to a cabin, and for 5 years, he was sequestered in the cabin as a hermit and sat there and read every book on mythology he could find. And when he came out, everything that he read had gone in. He was absolutely brilliant. So he determined that regardless of when the population of people lived or what time they lived in the world, they would write these myths. And the myth was usually about somebody that faced something bad and overcame it. Or the myth was something as to how to live a good life. In essence, it was, mythology is traditional arts. It's storytelling. They didn't write anything down at that point. But he also found that there were so many similarities between the myths across time and across populations of people. And he didn't have any idea to explain that. But so he started to write books about what were the main topics. His most notable book was called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, and it's about the hero's journey. Does everybody understand what the hero's journey is? It's a 5-part sequence. The soon-to-be hero, or the future hero, comes from usually very poor roots. Lucky if he or she has an education, no money, and then it comes time to leave home. And if this portion is really fortunate, they actually leave home of their own accord. Sometimes it might be the country's overtaken.
I'm sorry, we have a receiver problem with the microphone, and we can't do a whole lot about it. So it's not the batteries. If you'll just keep talking, eventually it should.
Okay, the problem is though, it won't record audio. Oh shoot. All right. I just gave it a twist. We'll see if that works. So his most notable one was called The Hero's Journey, where it was the 5 parts. Poor roots. He has a choice usually to leave home, but if he doesn't, he or she is forced out. Number 3, they enter the world, and the world beats them up. It isn't a very pleasant thing, but that's kind of life. And I think that's what the myth tried to present. And then the 4th thing is, at some point, this person discovers what they feel is a truth. something that's undeniable, something that changed their life in such a profound way, they want to spend the rest of their life taking this truth out to more people, either where they are at that point in time or to go back to their roots and help those people. Again, it's called The Hero's Journey or The Hero's Adventure. Does anybody recognize these two characters? Okay, who's the one on your left?
George Lucas.
That is George Lucas. George Lucas read this book. Da 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 da. Yeah, Star Wars was based on this premise. And that kind of put Campbell here on the map, and he wasn't really pleased with that. But anyway, that's the way that worked. So we're back to the hero's journey. It's either the way I just described it, or he said I could simplify this and just say follow your bliss. Now, can anybody give a shot at defining the word bliss for me? Because it's generally misunderstood. Okay, you were braver this morning. The thing about bliss is not just all joy. Bliss is work. Bliss is a challenge. And if you have an artist mentality, you're going to start, you love painting, you love drawing, you love building something. You start that work, and then at some point, it goes awry, and you're angry, and you're pissed off at it. And it's like, why am I even doing this? Eventually, you solve the problem. How do you think you feel? Remember this morning when we were talking about how artists feel? They feel bliss. But you have to go through the challenge. So remember that anytime you hear somebody use the word bliss, if it's follow your bliss, it's do what's natural to you. If you're an artist, be the artist that you are. Okay, he also put this in about artists. What we are taught today mainly has to do with economics and politics. We are not nurturing our spiritual side, so we are left with this void. It's the job of the artist. Welcome, glad you guys could make it. You're just kind of catching up as to where we were this morning. We are left with this void. It's the job of the artist to create these new myths. Myths come from the artist. Does that sound familiar? Okay, so artists are the dreamers. Artists are the one that create. Artists are the one that you have to look to. And in this particular case, this is my favorite artist in the world. This is my wife, Deanne L. Parks. She is an artist. She's a painter. She occasionally makes the 12-foot giant bobblehead puppet for parades. And when I went to her, because she was noticing I was a little distraught, and I said, I want to try something different. She goes, what do you want to try? She'd asked me what I wanted for my 60th birthday. And I said, I don't want another banjo. I don't want another fiddle. I know.
Yeah.
They just told me there's a short in it.
Yeah, sorry.
And I have to try to get some of it through because this is the audio going on the video. I said I'd like an experience, and I can design the experience. I think I know what I want. I was so fascinated with banjos at that point in time because, as I told you this morning, I knew they came from Africa, and I knew there's something like 67 plucked lutes that have been identified in Africa over the last 2,000 years, and there's way more than that. And they're used in all these different ways. It's a weird combination of art and history and science and religion. Why would you build a banjo, especially then sell it for $1,500 to a very small audience? Made no sense to me as a marketer. I wanted to know what they were thinking. I didn't know how the artist really considered something like this. So I said, I want to get these cameras used off of Craigslist or eBay, and I want to talk to maybe half a dozen people. I'm going to check with Banjo Hangout to see if they'd buy DVDs. Just like I told you this morning, I ended up with way more than 50 people. So it's like, I had to learn how to do it. I had to do these interviews. I had to learn how to be a documentarian. I explained this to her. She said, I think that's a great idea. How many spouses would say something to you after hearing something like that? But she's an artist. She totally got it. And then I told you how compulsive I am. I couldn't do 5 or 6. This was my first 19-day field trip. I'd done probably 3 or 4 test shows just to make sure I didn't stick my finger over the camera lens or something. And it worked out okay. I did get better as I went. And by the time I got around Toronto, I think I'd interviewed 4 people by then. I was in a flow. Flow state. Flow state. That's one thing I didn't talk about this morning, but that's one thing artists absolutely recognize. And driving between parts of people was nothing. And like I said, I went all the way down to Ovilla, Texas here to visit my favorite banjo builder. And then I got home and I started, I didn't do 20 shifts at the computer, but if I could have, I would have. I sat down and I had already taught myself editing, and I started to make these shows, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I kept feeling the bliss, or I kept feeling this rush, the artist's rush, every time somebody would say something, and I was there present for it, because now I'm watching him. I can actually see, I can read the body language, and for those of you that are artists, you're generally very perceptive to what's going on when you're talking to somebody. You can see if they have an interest or not. If they pull out a phone, you're dead. Okay, so I did the Banjo Builders in a flurry. And I learned so much in the process. I got really, really efficient with this. For every 60 seconds you see on, let's see, I gotta figure out. For every 1 minute you see, it took me probably about 50 minutes to edit it. And average editing time is about an hour. So you spend a lot of time with your people. You know when they raise an eyebrow, you know when they look up, you know when the dog's gonna bark outside the window. But I finished this, and I was so excited I couldn't stop. So then I went out and I did the people that play the instruments, teach people how to play the instruments, perform. I did 55 of them, and then I went out to get the historians and the others that are writing the history of what's going on in traditional music right now. And I still wasn't satisfied. Then I started to go to Clifftop, which you'll see a little bit later. But I was approaching 200 conversations by the time I finished. I haven't filmed for 2 years. I had to take care of my knee, and I'm hoping to get back to Clifftop here soon. But I did about 14 volumes. One last thing on that picture, as I mentioned this morning, each of those is a DVD, contains 10 to 14 shows. And they averaged usually around 30, 32 minutes. Now, I have to talk about early Iowa, where I'm from, because nobody else will talk about it, and it's my only opportunity to mention it. Early Iowa was about 400 people for population at the time I grew up. If you listen to Garrison Keillor's Prairie Home Companion, Robin and Linda Williams played the Greg Brown song, and Garrison was singing it all the time. He had a soft spot for that song. So, Crossroads of the Nation, there's a water tower there. That was the highlight of what happened early in 1910. I mean, it wasn't a really active place. So as a kid, there wasn't a lot to do, but we'd climb up on that catwalk. And as we tell the story, we could see from river to river. You could see from the Missouri to the Mississippi. Well, of course, that wasn't true, but hey, what else are you going to say early? The Greg Brown song talks about early being a one-horse town. This is from 1899. I found it on eBay. It's a picture of the wagon shop on Main Street, and notice there's one horse in it. All right, when you have a small town, especially someplace like Iowa and Minnesota, it's agrarian, and people are moving in from all over the world. You have Czechoslovakian, you have Scandinavian, you have all sorts of different cultures, and they're established. But when all cultures come into a new culture, or come into a new environment, a new culture starts. Got bits and pieces of the old one. So Early was trying to entertain itself. Here's another eBay find. This guy is sitting on a Conestoga wagon without a top, and the carnage you see in the back end is 4,600 squirrels. Apparently they were pretty bored, had to take out a little maybe aggression or whatever, so they decided they had 2 teams of 20 men each. The names are all written on the back in pencil, and in one day, this is sometime, I think it was a 4th of July celebration. Question is, did that tradition continue? I doubt it. Anyway, I have to put that in. I really like that. All right. Here's the most famous person in early Iowa. That's my mom. She was a school teacher. She taught elementary school. If you were to ask her her job, but that wasn't her real job. She was a church organist in the Methodist Church, and early had a 4-square set up, Presbyterian well, it was a Presbyterian, Lutheran, Catholic, and Methodist church. But the interesting thing is that community of church organists all knew each other. So if one, and the churches had their gatherings at different hours. So if one of the organists got sick, another organist from another church would come in and fill in for them. And it's interesting to me that the music was more important than the doctrine. But that's the way it was back then. You provide for the community. Okay, so my mom didn't do this as what you'd call, my dad would say, my dad would say, what's your day job? That was her being a teacher. She had an envelope up next to the kitchen sink, and she'd write on it, she called it her egg money. So when people would hire her to do something, they'd give her like $10. You can see this first one. She played in Rapid City for a Mother's Day program. Then she went to Cherokee. She didn't write it what it was for. She got $20. There was a funeral. She got 25. Sometimes she'd get a dozen ears of sweet corn or something like that. It was never, ever about the money. There was a need in the community. People needed music to accompany the tradition of a funeral, the tradition of a marriage. She was the flame keeper in that period of time. She was also a social alchemist. She used music as an elixir and glue, and it bound the community together. I had no idea what that was. I mean, I was too young as a kid. I didn't recognize the role she really played. Okay, so the Methodist Church was well cared for. I grew up with a lot of that. Anybody ever subscribe to the Columbia Record Club? You didn't? I see a few of you did. Okay. Every 30 days, my mom would get an album, and it could be something like just classical music. And when it came in, I would sit in front of the RCA for 4 hours listening to Charge of the Light Brigade, Flight of the Bumblebee, The French Can-Can. And you remember me talking about awe? I couldn't speak. I was 7, 8 years old. Can anybody else say they felt the same way? You guys were so in line this morning. Was anybody else as quirky as me?
No.
Oh. Thanks a lot. All right, this is also the end of the folk scare. I heard a lot of Peter, Paul, and Mary. Who could name this group? Can you see it? Yes! I can't believe you people, well, people at Clifftop got it too. Yes, that's the Christie Minstrels. I was probably 12 years old and my dad drove me to Storm Lake, Iowa. And when these 12 people, 12, no, there's less than that. When they stormed the stage, I couldn't breathe. They were so powerful. I mean, were you a fan of them too? Did you buy their albums?
No.
You knew who they were.
Still big fans.
Okay. They did such an impression on me because here's individuals. First off, they weren't all white. They actually had, I forgot his name at this point in time, but oh gosh, did they make an impression on me. And the rest of my life, it's like, I was just loved them so much. Then there was this guy. Do you remember me talking about him? I know it's a bad picture. No guesses? Oh, shucks. That's Fred Waring. Okay, so anytime he came across Iowa, my mom would put me in the front row, and man, he was amazing. Okay, I'm going to bring it up to current time. Roscoe Holcomb got famous for that high lonesome sound that Eric Clapton thought was just the greatest thing ever. And Eric Clapton helped launch traditional music because of the whole Roscoe Holcomb thing. Did anybody buy his CDs or albums? Yeah, okay, good. Banjo players unite. All right, that's me. I'm 71, Roscoe's 66 over there. I think they look better than him, but for 19 years in a row, I played at an apple orchard because people had to line up to get in, and usually I have a fiddle player come out with me, and we try to get kids to dance. We had a contest, who could get more kids to dance, the fiddle player or the banjo player. But I had a moment like that I put in the book in South Dakota when I heard a blind fiddler play. And he scared the daylights out of me when he looked up at me, but I never forgot it. And my goal here is to be not a blind fiddle player, but I wanted to get the kids to have that moment where they picture it in their head 60 years later, and they still get it. And I don't have time, but I'll bet you if I asked you guys, you'd be able to tell me you had an awe experience like that with something. Whether it was some other art or tradition, you're not in your heads. You artists, I love it. Okay, the last person I want to talk about here is, I consider Rhiannon Giddens a prophet. I think she's amazing. She has the intellect. Okay, so she's black and she's white. She went to Oberlin College. She majored in opera. And then she decided she wanted to learn more about her black roots. So she went to a black banjo gathering. I think it was 2002. And she met an old black fiddler that knew all about traditional music. And his name was Joe Thompson. Don Flemons of the Carolina Chocolate Drops is also there. And then they ran into Justin Roberts later. That's where the Carolina Chocolate Drops came from. But Rhiannon has the intellect to be able to look at what happened back in the time of minstrelsy, say, nope, we're not going to include the titles, nope, we're not going to include all the tropes, nope. The tunes themselves, though, the tunes themselves are blameless, because the tunes themselves are humanity. Yes. Do you realize how much she freed up historically? Okay, so I called you guys flame keepers this morning. Now you see the category you fall into. Now you see why I'm so excited about who you are. And after talking with so many of you about how you've taken your traditional art and developed communities around it, or joined communities around it, you completely get the whole theory. All right, I'm going to take you to Clifftop briefly. Welcome to Clifftop. It has these trails that run from the north to the south, and people set up everywhere, and all I have to do is walk along the road with my camera, and I trip across people like this. And that level of music is what you see mostly everywhere. That's Jane Rothfield, if any of you ever played fiddle or understand what really, really good Southern Appalachian fiddle sounds like. Okay, so Clifftop is 9 days. Anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 people attend from all around the world. 50 U.S. states as well, and it runs 9 days. And there's 18 shower stalls for 3,000 to 4,000 people. Don't think about it, just stand out in a ring. It'll be fine. The level of music can go from people just starting to absolutely exceptional. These are two players that in the old time world are just really good. They play day and night. I mean, about the day 3, nobody's staying up all night anymore, but I was talking about songs we learned in grammar school when we were just growing up. This is called the Estrogen Jam. I won't tell you what they're drinking. But it's underneath a water tower in a ravine, and there'll be up to 200 women getting together, playing all their instruments just like this. Men aren't allowed. They have to serve the beverage to make sure that everybody's comfortable. But that's a not to be missed event. And I filmed Clifftop every year that I went. If you go to YouTube, put in Clifftop Craig Evans, you can watch because they were favorites of mine. And I made sure I got plenty of their footage. All right, back to my early Iowa water tower. On the back of my book, you see a similar water tower. It's the only other time I've ever seen my one water tower in early, ever. So, is that a sign? I don't know. You can't read into those things. But I figured it was home. And actually it ended up being home for me. All right, I ended up doing 3 sets of films, mostly about flame keepers. And as I was telling you this morning, it took me 5 years to get my head around everything that had happened, everything that I'd seen. Flame keepers is the right term. Gustav Mahler said, being the director-composer, Gustav Mahler said, tradition is not about stoking the ashes. It's passing along the flame. Such is traditional arts. And I use that in the front of the book because that's a very valid point. It's important. Traditional arts are important. You guys know it. We grew up and we experienced it. We're in a noisy population right now that doesn't understand it yet because they haven't heard of it. But the good news is the archivists, the people that are keeping history are. Because I was standing at a bluegrass festival and my phone rang, and it was Dan Shakey from Smithsonian Folkways. And he introduced himself and he said, I've seen your films. What are you going to do with them? And I said, well, I did this to save history. I would like to have them saved for posterity. Is that you? And he said, yes, we'd like to have them, please. So that's how I got to the Smithsonian Folkways. And I'm just delighted with that because they recognize how important our time here with traditional music is. We're writing the history now. Now, the Smithsonian is probably not going to upgrade to streaming. So my DVDs are still somewhat captured there. People still buy DVDs. But I went to Southern Folklife Collection at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. You've heard of that, I'm sure. And I said, here's the dilemma. They've asked me for my films. Would you like my films? And they said yes. So I gave the last two of the series to them. And then I asked another question. I said, do you think it would be possible for you, I'm talking to the archivist down there, to talk to Smithsonian Folkways and offer them your incredible ability to stream? Because they're the finest streaming institution in the archive world right now. And he looked at me and he says, do you know Dan Sheehy? I interned at Smithsonian Folkways, and he was the guy that I worked for. He said, I'll talk to him. So the last I heard from him, that's going well. But the way it would work is actual material, like my original videos, stay there, but they'd give streaming rights to the Southern Folklife Collection. So we hope within a year that the entire collection will be down there and you can watch them for free. Okay, just know traditional arts, this is a basic thing, they preserve our cultural heritage, they give us our identity and our history, they pass along ancestral knowledge and values. They're really, really important. And we have to do our best to help provide a vital link to our roots, because you cannot forget your roots. You can't forget where you came from. And as I told you this morning, I'm convinced at this point in time, if it wasn't for traditional arts, I don't think humanity would be here. And I don't know what's going to happen if we just start to get so noisy we can't look at the things that really fill us up versus deplete us. Okay, I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking about everybody I talked to, and I come up with the commonalities. I had to write the book because there's things that I just couldn't put in the videos because I didn't know them at the time. So this book is a bunch of first-person feel-good testimonials. As I told you this morning, they're happy. And I had to say it's feel-good because you're going to see them here in just a moment. Their experiences of visible joy demonstrate the magic of traditional music and the community that celebrates it. And I had to throw this in because I talked to high schools, and they say, well, what is traditional music? It started a long time ago. Archaeologists have unearthed instruments in cave dwellings, be something that looks like drums or bird tibias that have holes in them that, oddly enough, are close to diatonic scale. So they were playing early flutes. And then if you take a look at different cultures, the Greeks, the Romans, were always doing something with lyres and flutes. So musical expression was actually used as a form of medicine by both the Greeks and the Chinese. The Greeks taught you how to heal people with music. And then if you look, the Chinese symbol for music is actually, for medicine is actually taken from music. That's how it was important to them. Am I missing something? Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2. Hello, 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 hello.
There you go.
Yay! Testing 1, 2. Yeah, thank you. Now, who's going to edit the audio in the whole first 20 minutes? Not me. I'm sorry, that's work. So, how is music and tradition good for you? If you haven't read the news, music lights up your brain like the 4th of July. Best thing you can do for your grandkids is set them down in front of an RCA and play Charge of the Light Brigade and see if you can get awe out of them. It improves your memory, it improves your mood, it facilitates bonding. It's really hard to fight with somebody when you're playing a square dance right next to them because your heartbeat gets to the same synchronicity when you're playing rhythm, and that's been proven too. It improves your physical health and coordination, hones accuracy, and promotes feelings of peace and connection. I mean, we need traditional music right now on Twitter. So anyway, the Harvard Happiness Study, this has to do with community. This was done on 2 groups of men. It's been going on about 80 years. It was men only. I can apologize for that. They did it a long time ago. And what they did is they would check in every 2 or 3 years and say, well, how's your life? They check their health. Is anybody familiar with the Harvard Health and Happiness Study? Okay. I mean, this is universal now. This is cool. It's not money. It's not fame. It's not fortune. It's the things that they like the most, that promoted their life, that allowed them to live longer, were the supportive relationships with family, friends, and community. Those were the happiest people in the study. Quality relationships are better than quantity. Positive emotions and attitudes have long-term benefits. Personal growth and engagement are key. So that also means watching out for self. If you need a break, you take a break. If you need to drive halfway across the world and interview crazy people that build banjos, do it. And I can testify to that, and I didn't go to Harvard. Health and happiness are linked. Well, if you go to Clifftop, they already know that. That's why they go every year. So, Joseph talking about follow your bliss. If you can discover the divine power within yourself, artists, you already know it. This was what my focus was going to be this morning instead of the one that I did with you folks, because I was hoping there'd be a room full of young people that I could convince, consider doing this with your life. It's worthwhile. You make it a lifestyle and a profession. One of the things I found out is, in talking to banjo builders especially, it's not about the money. They'll find something else, or they'll joke about it. But it's the satisfaction of building the instrument as an artist and having somebody say thank you for it, because it changed their life. Part of the hero's journey, another way to look at it is, as Campbell also said, I don't believe people are looking for the meaning of life as much as they're looking for the experience of being alive. Remember when I was talking about being in the moment? Bingo. And I really admire this guy, because I think he's got the thing about, would you argue with me? You think, you're familiar with Joseph, right? Oh, you're not? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. But your comment this morning about how you felt when you heard the music was so deep and profound. You're going to love this guy. Now that we're friends on Facebook, I do expect you to write me. Joseph Campbell said the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. And what's fun about this tribe is I think most of you are either happy in your skin or have figured something out. You didn't have to have a hero's journey. You probably have found many truths that you stand by. And for the fact that you're here with some sort of traditional art and you understand community, you get it. You've really plugged in your lives, this is great. Okay, John C. Campbell's vision, create a community that awakens, enlivens, and then enlightens the world. 100 years ago. That's why this place is incredible, and I'm glad you guys keep coming back year after year. I'm not here to promote it, but look what this vision was. It's one of these Danish school programs. It's about tradition. Okay, so as I said this morning, you're flame keepers. You can wear that badge proudly. I don't have a button for it, so you have to make your own. Now you get to hear the people that I interview. And I do want you to watch for the smiles and the positive attitudes. Because this guy had a job at Procter & Gamble. He was a high-end executive, did lots of great things, and he quit a six-figure job to build banjos. He also fixes motorcycles. He's since passed, but he made about 3,500 banjos. You'll see him a few times. Okay, here we go.
Banjos for me are a medium and a creative outlet. When I first started, I didn't think this would keep going. I thought it was just an obsession that would pass and I would mature and grow up.
When I worked with my dad on carpentry, I was always the guy that wanted to do the more intricate stuff, because I love the challenge, especially in staircases, all the compound miters and all that stuff, and getting everything to fit.
Seems like since the day I put my hands on a banjo, my life just took off.
And I never started out wanting to build banjos. I don't know that I chose it, and I'm not sure it chose me. We just sort of said, this works, let's try this for a while. Banjos have been very, very good to me.
I couldn't afford to get one of one, so I would build it. And I remember I came home with a block of wood for the neck and had a pocket knife and a rasp. And my wife said, you can't build a banjo, there's no way, how can you do that? And I said,
I wanted to go fishing, I built a fishing rod. If I wanted to go hunting, I built a bow as a kid. If I wanted to go rowboating, I built a rowboat. When it just hit me that I was going to play banjos, I went out and got a kit because I was just so hungry for it. I had to have it.
Probably the neatest part about the banjo in my life is it was that thing that really kind of turned the corner when I was looking for a life purpose. It was the tool that was used for me to find out that I could do something successfully. And I think I grew as a person, got confidence, learned a lot of skills. It's been an integral part of my life.
All right, so why do you do what you do?
I just love it. As you've been told many times, banjo makers don't get rich, but I love doing it.
What's the reward for you?
My best reward is when a customer is happy, and I've had a couple customers that were so happy it just almost brings tears.
Okay, as an artist, what's your reward?
As an artist, continually improving and getting better. And I'm still doing that at the age of 67.
So you started with tradition and you made it something unique to you.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. You have to come from a point of humility with any sort of design or building. You have to study things as if you have no talent, and then work as though you didn't study. You know? That's the best way to do it.
I got into this as a rehab, and it just pulled me out of the darkest hole I think I've ever been in my life. I don't think about being disabled. I just think about a different way to do things.
I was trying to undo a cultural injustice by bringing these things back to life and putting them in front of people. But they did not like it when I started making banjos in art school. Some of the faculty had a real problem with it. They were threatening to flunk me, all sorts of stuff like that.
Are you obsessed with banjos?
Yeah.
Don't nobody tell me how I've been doing wrong.
How long was the gravel road that I had to take to get back?
It was just at a mile.
Please tell me there's a still back here to justify how far out in the woods you actually live.
So this is the house that I was kind of slowly working on, the shop, the whole shed, and the blacksmith shop and the banjo shop. I built those. Vegetables, chickens, bees. We haven't gotten into any other animals yet.
Yeah, fifth generation from here. So if you go up Black Creek Road, there's like Patnod. Patnods are made in the Patnod Creek and Patnod Lake. So they've been around a long time.
I see you've got a lake over here off of your front yard.
Yeah.
And we'll take you down and show you there's a river right down here that's about, the whole river is maybe 8 kilometers long. And we have lots of room for garlic and chickens and all that kind of stuff.
One thing at a time. We're gonna do the banjo shop, then work on the house. And it's like, and then we're trying to play music and build banjos, so it's like, okay, next year we're gonna do an earth and greenhouse.
I really fell in love with making your own music. I thought that was the greatest thing, to be able to make your own music. Actually, I never really intended on building banjos.
Yeah. Someone said, go up to this church on High Street. They play music every Wednesday night. But just on a whim, I went up there and I had a guitar and I opened the door and there were 4 fiddles, 3 banjos, a bass, a penny whistle, and they were just wide open playing the tune Liberty. And I said, that's me. This is
Liberty overrated you. That's a
yes,
really good story.
absolutely. It's true. It is fun making banjos. I mean, if you're going to have to work, why not make something cool and interesting and you can play and have fun at festivals?
Make people happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being a physician, you've gone around the world.
I went to Sudan, Rwanda, Zaire. I used to always carry my banjo wherever I traveled too, which was very interesting.
How important was music to all these different people in all these different countries you visited?
Very important, connected them.
Well, you've got a beautiful storefront, and it's a music store, it's your banjo shop, and you share it with who?
Bob Tedrow. Hi, Ma. He's a concertina maker.
Okay, so what's the tie-in between concertinas and banjos? Wow, that's happy as a banjo.
We're happy all the time here.
Did he take pity on you and say, come on in, young man, let's talk about an instrument you can make some money off of?
Yeah.
So is it a money-making business for you? Why does everybody react?
Yeah, it's just, I couldn't imagine how you could get rich off doing it. I mean, I would like to know. So if you know someone who knows how to be rich off making banjos, that would definitely be a good perk at the end of the day.
You found banjo building to be a good way to make a life then, and make a living.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the house has been paid for a long time. The truck's paid for, the motorcycles are paid for. No debt. They get a real good banjo at a real fair price. That's that.
Now, I've heard a rumor about you. When you say you look at a banjo, you see something. What do you see?
Oh, I see a cart full of groceries. Maybe a full tank of gas.
So your goal is not money. It's not about money at all. I do this because there's no money in the world you can put in somebody's hand that's equivalent to the satisfaction and joy and the email and the letters and the calls and all the fantastic. I mean, that's, to me, is so... That's more fulfilling than if somebody said, here's $1 million. So would you do anything different?
Probably not. Probably not. For the most part, you know, we've raised 6 kids on the back of a banjo. I say it's so crazy. This is such an insane thing to do as far as conventional wisdom. And to me, just the fact that I do what I do and I get to do what I do is success in itself.
Are you in this business for the money? Oh, geez, no. You could make money doing this. No, this is a passion. The majority of banjo builders I know, they all laugh when we talk about money. Because you make a living doing this for sure. You're sure not going to get rich, but you'll be very, very wealthy in the end.
So making people happy or satisfied is your primary motivation?
Yeah, definitely.
Without the music, I wouldn't be doing this.
As builders, the stuff that we're putting out there in the world is not the end product. If you could call music magic, you might say that we make magic wands, but they're not magic until they get in the hands of some musician who is a magician and who can really make things happen.
My father always had a saying, anything worth doing is worth doing right. And so I guess I've grown up with that motto.
Engraving, which is sort of my specialty, is so technically hard to do. You have to do what you do with painting. I think the American painter Whistler said it's done when there's no evidence of its doing. You have to make something technically demanding and hard to do look effortless. If you don't, then its beauty is lost. So to make it look effortless, it takes years of practice and coming to grips with how to do it. And that's what I'm trying to do.
The luthier's adage is you can't have enough clamps. I think it's you can't have enough jigs to use with your clamps.
I love this stuff. I'm really happy I can still do it. 100 years from now, somebody's going to be playing one of your banjos. What do you want them to know about you when you're playing a banjo 100 years from now? Say, wow, this is a riptide banjo. This was built with somebody that was disabled.
How do you want to be remembered about your banjos?
Probably it's the Johnny Appleseed of banjo building, making people happy.
Me and my wife Cindy, we really try to tie it all together, the banjo making and the old time music and where we live. It's all, I don't know, that's kind of part of our philosophy of live simply and work and life and fun tied together and nice package.
You can do anything. It doesn't matter what you're given or what you got. If you want to put your mind to it, I really believe we can do anything.
How many more years do you want to build banjos?
Oh, the rest of my life.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can go to the world doing this, probably one happy guy.
I think you're already a happy guy. You'll be a happy guy.
That's right. You got it. You got it.
How do you feel when you watch a video of somebody playing their banjos?
I'm looking to see if they're having a good time. And that's why building's one. I think if people weren't having a good time, I'd find something else to do.
They don't need to know anything about me. As
as long as they're out there playing banjos and having a good time, I'm glad to be a small part of that.
Somebody picks up one of your banjos 50 years from now, what little bit of you is still inside of that banjo?
Well, there's a little bit of my blood in most of them, because I always cut myself in one way.
You know, is there a message in there? Is there a message in the bottle from you to them as they're playing your banjo?
Get out of the house. Go play some tunes. Drink a beer.
Yeah. Like I even cut myself during an interview.
We have a weekly staff meeting where we talk to everybody. And at one point I said, guys, who thinks we make banjos here? And they look at me like, is this a trick question? And they're kind of wondering, what are you talking about? So finally one guy goes, yeah, we make banjos. And I said, you're right, we do. I said, but that's not our main product. And I turned around and I wrote the word magic on the board. And I said, the magic of the music that brings all that joy to the world, I said, that's our product. The joy that comes from the music.
The only thing you can do with banjos, or any musical instrument, is make music with other people. And as far as I'm concerned, that's like the best thing that humans do.
The best thing that humans do. Thank you. Any other feedback? What do you think? Are you inspired? You understand now why I'm so full of energy? Yeah. Okay, I have 2 other videos. They're short. You've heard from the builders. You've heard from the artists. This is an artist from the second group, which would be the musicians. This is Tricia Spencer, the fiddle player, at Clifftop. So you're going to get a taste of Clifftop too, and this is shorter than the last one. Okay.
All right, my name is Tricia. I'm from Kansas. I'm at Clifftop again.
And why is that important?
Oh, I love this place. It changed my life. It's like out of all of the things I do, this is in the top 5.
The top 5?
Yeah. You know, like when you sometimes start thinking about like what's most important to you in life, and you know what are non-negotiables, and Clifftop is my non-negotiables. And I guess in some ways my everyday life mimics Clifftop. I made that change in my life. I let go of a lot of unimportant things and made this be my life.
What about Clifftop freed you to find yourself?
Well, because I didn't live here and I didn't know these fiddlers or bluegrass tradition, I didn't know people sat around and shared this common love of tunes. I'll never forget sitting there with 3, 4 other fiddlers who all knew the same tune. Everyone else knew what they were doing, and they were just in the moment. What they were doing, it was like breaking bread with each other, but it was with fiddle tunes. You know, there were the stories of where the source came from and where they might have picked it up or who made it be palatable for them. And that was when I realized there was this whole level of sharing music and keeping a particular genre alive that I wanted to be a part of. To me, this is heaven.
Most time people start a tribe or a community, there's a barrier to entry. But once you're inside that, you're a part of it. Is there something in this tribe that related to you, that freed you? Was it just the music or was there anything else?
It's the whole thing. But it's what happens here at Clifftop. When you come here and camp for 7 or 8 days, you're coming here with provisions to get on through the week, because it's kind of hard to go get what you need. I love the fact that these folks came and they make these like little beautiful cities here. Like, you know, there's the Ohio area, there's the New York area, there's the Canada area, and in the Texas area, and you know, Howard and I had the Kansas and Texas area, and the California. So they built these communities, they share food with each other, they share drink with each other, they share stories with each other. And what I found when I came here, that the people who come here, I can have differences with them, but I would much rather hang with everyone here than 99.99% of everyone else who knows nothing about what we do here. I mean, I knew that right away. These were my people. They cared about food, they cared about community, they cared about learning and growing, they cared about nature, and they cared about tradition. They wanted something to keep going. That's how they invested in, that's how we invest here into the world. This makes you a better person. I mean, it really does. That's what it's about. It's about sharing and building something as opposed to just, like I said, promoting yourself. I always say that in old-time music, you're taking your skills to kind of build tunes and the tradition, as opposed to like taking your skills for your own ego. It's about the bigger picture in old-time music. So I knew this was it. Not only was it here, but I wanted to do this in my own town. I wanted to build that same community where people wanted to sit for hours and play in the same key. I knew I wanted that. It's a good life. It's simple, it's honest.
Can we take it from here and somehow give it to the world? What is the role of traditional music with humanity?
When you talk about this is part of why I do what I do. It's why I teach. It's why I perform. Whoever wants it, I'm going to give it to them.
So is the music the touchstone which actually contains all these emotional feelings of connection and joy and family and fulfillment and security and trust? Is this the nugget that you're passing along?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not just the music though. Like I said, it's kind of to me, the embodiment of what it's like to camp here for 7 days, or 8 days, or however long you're here. You are connected to the land. It rains on you, it's hot, you find a way to like be connected here, and the music is just, it's kind of like our language with each other. I think you could have this anywhere. We do it at our home. Kids jokingly talk about, like, we have clifftop food and we have clifftop nights, and we basically set up our evening like we would at clifftop, and that means we turn off all the lights and we might eat funny snack food and play tunes and pretend that we're back here again, but we're doing it in Kansas.
Okay, how's everybody's rear ends? You tired yet?
Yeah.
Somebody's tired? I've got one more film. I will tell you, I'm just going to skip past it. It's a historian, and I want to tell you the historians are as engaged in this as the people that are participants. Okay, last part of this is the book. The book is here if you want to buy it. There's 3 parts. The first part is about my mom. It took me 40 years to recognize the importance of her being a flame keeper. Part 2 is members of the traditional music community, not just the builders, but the performers and the historians. Part 3 is about clifftop. And this is as far as I've come with 200 films, but I think you'll get it if you want to take the time to go through the whole thing. This is one of the films I'm going to show later tonight about clifftop. But the traditional artists, I think, are gifts to humanity. Each and every one of them, traditional artists, are a gift to humanity, and I hope you know that. So I'm going to leave